graphic reads. I didn't start with one. I started with just this little quick gross sketch.
Because this was done many months before.
Yes,
wasn't it?
This was done like
Graphic reads even.
last year.
We were still living in Sydney at the time.
Yeah, ew. But yeah, this was the sketch I did for the interior, and as you can see, there's no light. It's all just sort of composition, a little bit of prop work and perspective, and even then, it's pretty like basic perspective. But it's good to start off with this because there's no stress. But what I should have done instead of jumping onto like a proper line art is I should have done like a nice little black and white read to figure out lighting. That way it would have been a lot easier for me to figure out later on. So boom, just lay down like some perspective grids that I should really go out and get a program for, but for me I just use the line tool. Like you can see there, just like stretch. And then just go in and muck out the basic shapes and stuff. Soz doing a crap. There you go. Yeah, but this part takes a while. Like just doing line art is really annoying. And I mean, it can be relaxing, but for the most part, it's really time consuming, really slow. And you don't have to do it that much, but for really detailed sets like environment, interiors and stuff, you pretty much have to.
I was going to say, sometimes you do line art, sometimes you don't. Is it because this is a very geometric set, there's lots of props in it?
Super perspective heavy, yeah.
Compared to the beach, which was
oh yeah, there was
fairly
hardly
organic.
any perspective in that.
It's quite washed out.
Yeah, the only thing with man-made sort of like tough shapes was like the thrusters, and even then they were pretty easy to just fake.
And even then, they were more sort of like a set piece for the character, whereas
yeah, the main read was the character.
Is the room. That's the focus of it, right?
Yeah, the focus is the architecture in the room. So the idea behind this was like if it was a video game, and you walk into these shops, or if you're in this part of the game, like what would it be like? What do you see? You know, what's the mood? So that's what I wanted to try and capture with this. But, you know, trying to do this freehand, you'd have to be, like, very good. And actually, I scrapped this middle one just because I was too lazy to finish it, and I was just very tired and at work. But I should go back and finish this middle one because I like it. That was supposed to be the blacksmith shop. The one at the bottom was supposed to be, like, the potion shop, and the one at the top is, like, you know, your generic sort of, like, inn. But you just think of little stories to add stuff. Like, a lot of these ones are filled with detail and, like, lots of props and stuff. And it's, like, hard to sort of be like, what do I add? What do I do next? But if you have like a little bit of a story to it, it's so much easier. Like for the top one, you can't really see, but I had an idea that's like, maybe, you know, you're in a town and this is like your hometown, and the first boss that you kill, you can take out whatever boss you want, but the first one you take out, you know, its head will be on the wall, and the tavern will be named after, you know, the boss you took out. So this would be like the wolf head
that's so
inn.
clever.
Yeah, so if you like kill the dragon first, you kill the drake first, or whatever it would be called, like the drake head inn.
Yeah, so although it may not change the story of the world, your actions have still influenced the world a little bit.
Yeah, and it just makes it feel more personal, which I think would be really fun. Because I've been playing Darkest Dungeon, and that whole game is about like, you know, building up a town, going out questing, coming back and building up a town, and I just was really into that. So I tried to do a set series of paintings of like a town, and like it's all about you progressively fixing it and making it better by going off and doing missions and stuff. This part here, the furnace, was probably the main reason why I didn't paint the rest of this, just because, it took so long.
Have you forgotten a lot of this? Like, is it coming back to you?
It's coming back to me now, yeah. I forgot how like annoying it was because I didn't really plan it out. I didn't really know what a furnace was like. I was just sort of like winging it a little bit. And I was like, I made this room too big. Like I used the wrong kind of camera. If you think about it, like, you know, a blacksmith should be like a nice little cozy room. But this room, if you would actually be there in perspective, yes, question marks. I'm like, what am I doing? I spent too much time being wrong with it. Yeah, like this room's actually massive. Like it's too big. Whereas this, like the other rooms have a good size. Yeah, I ended up giving up on it.
Yeah, like
now.
3 floors. So did you end up doing 3 set pieces in the end?
No, I only did the 2.
Okay.
But, yeah. It'd be better than if I just started to do 1. You should always try and work with as much as you can, I guess. Because, like, imagine if I was just doing that 1 and I couldn't do it. Then I'd just have nothing at the end of it. But at the end of this, because I tried to do 3, I still have 2.
Okay, so the 2 we got is the tavern and the potion shop.
Yeah.
Right.
But, yeah, tavern's a lot easier. It's just Tavern. I'm pretty sure you could think of a whole bunch of things to chuck in an RPG Tavern.
Man, line art takes a while.
Yeah, it's super annoying, but like when it comes to perspective heavy stuff, I kind of have to do it unless I'm using 3D.
Especially considering that it's not going to last until the final version.
Oh yeah, you scrap it all. That's why I'm really getting into doing 3D now, because it just does the lineup for you. It's so easy.
But the kind of 3D you've been getting into is like a full rendered asset that you can bring in paint over rather than just build basic props to get the perspective out of the way.
I guess so. Yeah, I'm cheating even more than I'm supposed to be. Like all these extra thoughts here, like I'm thinking about, like this here, that like weird mesh of lines, that was just a table. It's kind of hard to like explain when you can't see it, and if you don't really get perspective, it might be weird to be like, why is the line going here? Why does it cross off there? But the more you do it, the more...
Is it just using the brush tool as well?
It's both. It's the brush tool and the line tool.
Is the line tool user
Kevin Bacon.
What's that there for?
I don't know, dude. I don't know what time this was recorded, but I was very tired. Yeah, so this one, just getting into actually painting it. So I skipped a bit because, as I said, I didn't do that graphic read. This base lighting stuff, I didn't really know. So I had to experiment with it. And it would have been so much quicker if I just had that graphic read. I could have just been like, bang, oh, okay, it's done. Whereas this, we skipped a whole bit of me chucking in colors and messing around with it and trying to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And I actually, to an extent, mess around with it even more towards the end with the potion shop, because I still didn't really have much of a good idea. Yeah, just lassoing all the stuff, trying to get as much on their own layer as possible. And you can see, like, you want to start off nice and rough. Like, you don't want to get too nitty-gritty into, like, I'm going to detail this wooden plank and worry about it. You want to just sort of be like, okay, this is what the light is, and then I can go in and render it and clean it up later. And that was, like, a little sneak peek of my reference.
You're a big fan of the polygon lasso, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's because everything's such a sharp edge. A lot of this is man-made, and man-made stuff is like that, like tables. There's
a lot of neat techniques going on here. Like, that's such an efficient way to put brickwork in.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Although, that's actually another problem with this that I should have done, and I've started fixing now. If you notice, what I did is I did those bricks. I think it was like it was from a photo, and then I just grabbed the dark tones.
Right.
I left it black. Those gaps are black. And then if you look at that back wall, I left it really dark, really black. So straight away it looks really bad. So what I should have done is put it in and then like change the color to like a nice brighter tone, because things aren't true black that often unless there's no light.
It would only need to be a few tones darker than the rest of the brick, I guess.
Yeah, totally. Or in some cases, like it looks really cool if you make it brighter, because then it's not the brick, it's the the cement in between it. Which I should have done, but I didn't. So that's another thing to learn, I guess.
And it's already too late to go back to that and brighten it up?
Yeah, because like I tend to crush stuff just so my computer doesn't go too slow. But you see I use that, like, create an edge and then put the... What's it called? Where you can just draw in it?
Well, like a mask?
Mask, that's it. Yeah, I'm forgetting words. Yeah, that whole mask technique is so good. But you have to kind of be careful with it, because it can make edges a little too sharp.
Right. I'm pretty sure there's a way to have them have like a soft-ish edge.
Yeah, that's like if you're ever lassoing stuff, you can mess with the lasso setting so it's not too sharp. But what I like to do is paint it, like paint the silhouette.
Yep.
That way your brush leaves that little bit of soft edge, and then go in and do that kind of jazz.
One thing I'm noticing here is that you're using the standard brush quite a lot.
Oh yeah,
you hardly ever do that now. You're always using wacky texture brushes.
It's probably because I've been doing pretty organic stuff. Like here, it's all like it's a wall with a nice sharp edge, and I don't think there's no brush better than the round brush for that.
Yeah, just come to think of it, it's been a while since you've done an interior shot.
I'll have to do one next then.
Something that really got me about this scene the first time I saw it is it probably was despite being interior, open, and it felt sort of vast in a way. It was very crisp.
That might be
very
the
clean
perspective. Oh, well, if you're talking about just straight up rendering, the crisp cleanness, that's because I actually did like a lot of textures, a lot of lassoing, so everything's really sharp. I'm trying to get out of that now because it looks kind of fake. It's very obvious when something is a texture, something's very obvious when something's been lassoed and something's been painting. You don't want that contrast too much.
Yeah, I remember feeling a bit of that at the time. Like, as impressive as it was, there was something like I had What's the right word? Almost a little bit of blandness.
Yeah,
If
it
that
doesn't
makes
feel
sense.
like a painting. It feels like a photo bash manipulation.
There was something about the earlier stuff, although, when you were making this, you were looking back at that and being like, oh, that other stuff's trash. And you often whip it up very, very quickly. There was something very immersive about it. It felt like a place. There was some kind of energy, I guess. It is really difficult to explain.
I guess it's because it's like literally I was painting less things, so you can take more time to like focus on one thing, maybe.
I guess.
And like my techniques were all like emulating moody stuff. This is like very much me trying new things. I'm trying to do like a warm interior, get out of my comfort zone, because my comfort zone is like moody areas.
Well, tell us about this flask, because that was awesome. That was my favorite part of this one.
What, just making the flask?
Yeah.
Oh, well, glass is like, it's see-through. There you go. Done.
More to it than that.
Okay, well, it's see-through, but like it can catch light and reflections on the edges, and then, or a front if there's a spotlight towards it. So all you really have to do is what's inside it, and then whatever light is catching the edge, and it's super easy, and it looks so good. But you get that just from studying things like, just draw a glass of water, and then that's how you do it.
But it's a luminescent potion. Regular water isn't a light source.
Oh, well then the best way to do the luminescence is to light the things around it. And also there's a little bit of mist in there. Oh, is this as far as I recorded? Nah, okay, cool.
No. We're still in early sections, I think.
Bloody beautiful, mate. Bloody beautiful. But what were we talking about before? Like the lasso, or how it was looking gross?
Being almost too clean.
Oh, yeah, that. But there's another thing. You were talking about how it feels like vast or big. That's perspective.
Yeah, I guess it was. But it was very wide textures that didn't have a whole lot going on. It was before all the props went on the table. Like you sent one up of was just all the tables. It was like an empty room.
Oh yeah.
And seeing the 3 tables there, I was just like, okay, this is one of the most detailed things you've done. But at the same time,
There's nothing.
yeah. And I know it got fixed with all the props, but even then, it took a few moments of looking at it until I saw the skeleton for the first time.
Oh yeah. That's because I didn't have a graphic read. I seriously think if I was to have a graphic read, oh hey, this is stuff from, oh they're just props from the outside of the buildings, because this is the outside of the potion shop.
Oh, that's a painting that you did previously.
Yeah, that's the I did the exterior of all these buildings before I did the interior.
Oh, sick one.
Oh, this is like the most, it's what we were talking about the other one. It saves me so much. You just draw it flat, warp it into perspective. Saves so much time. It's so good. But when it comes to like this shot, a thing I want to say is I wanted to put as much in as possible and show as much. So it's like one painting captures like almost everything in the room except like what's behind you. But you know, it's showing off 3 walls, a floor and a roof of one room, of a small room. So it's like, how do you do that? You have to have a pretty fish-eyed like lens. So the way to do that with perspective is to when you're drawing your vanishing points on the horizon line, put them, because this is a 2-point perspective until I warp it and make it a bit of a 3-point. But it's a 2-point perspective. So the easiest way to fit as much crap in it as you want is to put the 2 vanishing points closer together. And the closer they are, the more fish-eyed and the more, I forget what kind of lens it is. It's a wider angle lens.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's depth of focus? Depth of
Yeah,
field?
like you'll see tons.
What's that term?
Field of view? Oh no.
That might be it.
FOV? Oh yeah, it is FOV.
I'm
yeah.
sure someone will tell us.
Oh yeah, I only know like it's because it's in video games. So it's literally like you can see more around you. Like if you ever see skateboarder videos or those crazy like GoPro videos where you see like everything around you.
Well, those are fisheye.
Yeah, that's like an actual picture. Well, that's a 5-point perspective. This is a little different. Yeah. Oh, look at that scrappy stuff. I kind of wish I finished this room because I like the colors of it.
Oh, was that the blacksmith room?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I've
okay,
still got.
so you
They're all
continued
3
on for
on
a
one
while.
canvas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should go back and finish it. I just got lazy. And this is, I think, where I start smashing in photos. Because this one was also an experiment to try and do photo bashing. Because I haven't done much photo bashy stuff before. And I just wanted to try it. So there's going to be a big section of this painting that's nothing but chucking in textures.
Right.
Oh, I zoomed out a lot.
Because I think where the top painting is up to now, I think you might have posted it when it was at that stage.
Oh,
I
just empty.
can't remember how far you get into the blacksmith. The blacksmith before you abandon it.
I think I put like a couple swords on the wall. Like this is actually pretty close to how far I get it.
So you're doing Photobashi stuff now, but they're all assets that you've built previously.
Yeah, I've already painted. Yeah, it's pre-Photobashi stuff.
So were they all designed for use in this painting, or was it I'm going to build myself an asset library and then use it in stuff?
I should totally do that more, but this was like, so I said I also did the exteriors before doing this, so they had a bunch of barrels and like carpets outside each one of the buildings. So I was like, just steal them from another painting and see if I can put them in.
Oh, okay. So they were built for the exterior shots.
Yeah.
And then it was just a happy coincidence that they were applicable inside.
Well, they weren't really. Only the swords and the carpet fit in. Everything else I couldn't really keep because the perspective is wrong.
Is that deliberate there, that you're putting a candle directly behind the flasks just so you can mess with how the light is going to work?
Oh, no, I can't see. I don't really remember. This one's fun. So this part here, I'm really bad at doing circles. So I do want a perspective to sort of give me a bit of a guide, and I still mess it up and make it look really ugly. But this is like the chandeliers, those really cool like Viking-y chandeliers. Start off with like a thing, silhouette it,
Oh, yeah.
and then paint inside it,
Nice.
catching the light. I want to see what you're talking about with that flask in a second, but this
So-
part was fun.
There's the two potion jars, the big blue one, and you paint a small blue one next to it, but immediately behind it, there's one of those candles. And I'm guessing that you did it in order to just experiment with how the light would catch against the blue glass and stuff like
I really
that.
can't remember, but we'll be able to watch and see.
Yeah, we'll see if it
This
comes
part's
back.
fun. You can see how much I cheat because I'm so bad at drawing circles. I'll literally just draw a flat circle and then warp it into its perspective because it's so hard.
Just every single time.
Yeah, every time. And the candles are really fun too because they just diffuse the light through the source. Candles are kind of actually like slightly, I guess, not translucent. But you can like light goes through it. Ambient occlusion.
There it is. There's the candle behind the flask.
Oh, hello. I don't even know if I light that guy. I might have forgot about him.
One thing I was surprised just then, each chandelier was built manually. You didn't paint one thing in its entirety and then copy paste it.
What you mean?
There's like 4 complete chandeliers, right?
No, actually, I think there's only 2. There's only 2 chandeliers, and then I took the 2 at the back, and then I stretched them forward, and then separated them a bit so they could match perspective.
Okay.
So I only really like if I was really smart, I would have only painted 1, but 2 works fine. Not too Photobashi yet.
So that was just a thing that sort of happened rather than being planned.
Yeah, I didn't plan this one too much. That's probably why it was so long and arduous.
Okay, because it's a really good result, but do you think you could have saved a lot of time otherwise? Like, is there a lot of going back and fixing things and feeling a bit confused as to why something might look a bit strange?
Totally. Like, if you're really smart about it, like, the simpler a shape is, the more you can, like, cheat it. So, like, all these walls, these roofs, and these floors, if I could have actually just painted them flat on, then warped them into perspective. And that would have been, like a quarter of the painting done straight away. All I would have to do is then go in and do this kind of light stuff, and then poke out the edges and do little perspective for things that are out, like the barrels.
Extrude the wood on the...
Yeah, it's pretty much just like in a 3D program, extrude and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was hard time getting the wood right. Wood's like a really hard material because the way it catches light, it reflects a little bit, and it's also very sometimes it's reflective and sometimes it's very matte. It's hard to get right with like its darks and its lights. Oh yeah, you see me messing around with colors because I didn't really know what I was doing at the potion shop. And I think this here is about as far as I go with the blacksmith. I was just trying to add tarps to it and be like, oh, what can I do to make it more interesting? But like,
so you got pretty deep. Did you give up because of its size, or was there anything that was just like, I can't be bothered trying to solve this problem?
I think I was just too in depth with these guys and just too tired. But yeah.
Saw the promise in the top and the bottom one and just wasn't feeling it for the middle?
Yeah.
Okay.
I should, like, nowadays I'd probably try and push through it and get it done.
Well, I think it's wise to know when something's not going to be worthwhile.
Yeah. Also, I'd have to fix the perspective because the whole size of the room is totally wrong.
What if you sank another 20 hours into it and it just didn't turn out to
Oh, I'd start from the beginning. So this part's really where I actually start painting.
What were you doing before?
Like that kind of thing. Like, see, lassoing and then painting inside the lasso and then adding little bits of light.
Right.
I'm still kind of doing that here, but this is where it starts to get actual, like, going in and putting some brush strokes in, which is fun.
Freeform.
Yeah, and light and color and all that kind of stuff. It's super easy to fall into the trap of what I'm doing now, which is messing around with sliders and being like, oh, is that color right? Oh, is this lighting correct? That's why I like doing the reads, and having a good lighting reference in the beginning is so much smarter, because you don't spend so much time messing around with it and changing it.
I've been there, where there's so many different choices. None of them are really better or worse than another. They're all just sort of different.
It's good to just have an answer before you go in.
Yeah, that choice anxiety.
Because on top of that, making the changes so much harder when the thing's already got all this detail. Like right now, if I was to be like, you know what would look really good in this potion shop? If like half of the building had a nice like cut of like a car shadow across it, and then there was this nice warm lighting. Like that would take so long to paint over all this stuff and change it originally. But if I did it's from the beginning, I knew what that was, it'd be super easy and quick.
That's a good thought. Very good thought. Because crushing the layers as you go is that a healthy workflow? I'd say so, because otherwise you just end up with thousands of layers.
It depends on the project, I guess. So when I do backgrounds, like actual for like animation, that's where layers are way more like important.
They need to be planned from the start, though, don't they? Because they're elemental to the scene.
What I'll do is, I see messing with colors a lot now. What I'll do is I'll grab, I'll get the idea of what it is, and then I'll start painting. Oh, smoke always looks good. I'll start painting this sort of style, like just mess around with colors, mess around with mood, get it right.
Yep.
And then once that one's A-okay, and I know what the set looks like, then I'll start doing all because with backgrounds you got to do 10 backgrounds in the one spot. You can't start 10 and experiment and then get halfway through it and be like, oh, maybe it should be blue, and then go back through 10 and change it. Just get one right and know what it is, and get the mood right, like all the props in the right position, all that kind of thing. And then once you've got that, you can go through and make it super easy.
So that's why you'll spend anything up to a whole day just planning it?
Or just spending most of your time will be spent on your first background. And then after that, it'll be super easy.
Oh yeah, because I guess each project has its own workflow.
Yeah, well,
the pipeline changes a little bit each time.
Yeah, not even that. Just you'll know where everything is, what color everything is, and sometimes you'll be able to even just steal parts. So if say this was an animation, right, and it was now the character is moving over to that wall to grab a book, right?
Yeah.
I don't have to think about the lighting. I don't have to think about anything. I can literally be like, oh, this is what it is. And I could even sample colors, use the same kind of paint. So this is where I start cheating and be a photobashi scum. Just kidding. It works so well.
Oh, that was nice. As soon as you put that tint on the books, they just sink straight in.
Yeah. Well, that's what it is. It's just fitting into the lighting. A lassing. Yeah, this is where the lasso tool comes in really handy. Just get rid of those edges and keep it nice and sharp. Although that was kind of dirty. Right, what happened just there? Ew. Did we actually record did I get a recording of doing the skeleton on top, or did I skip that and we'll have to just look at the final image after?
I think the skeleton appears, considering we're only a little bit over halfway.
I don't know.
There's a while to go.
Because I can tell you that doing that skeleton, for all of you who don't know, this table right here that I'm working on now has a skeleton on it towards the end, and it was the most hard, annoying thing to do ever, because the pelvis is the worst. And just especially in extreme perspectives. The more flat something is, usually it's the easier it is to draw, and the more fisheye and crazy a lens gets, the more just annoying it is. Yeah, and this is just so much photo bashing.
Was it a deliberate choice at this point? There were so many props to go, you're like, oh man, screw this.
Oh no,
or did you want to?
I had the idea of photo bashing from the beginning, because that's what I wanted to try and experiment, because I never really do too much photo bashy stuff, except maybe one random rock that I'm like, oh, I like that, I'll put that in. Yep. But this was I wanted to try and take it as far as I could, just everything a photo, see how it looks, see if I can work it and experiment. And it worked okay, but there's a lot of things that I would change now.
Well, it still seems like this is only 10-15% photo bashed. I mean, I've seen paintings you've done now where it's 80-90% photos.
Yeah, pretty much. But I still think you need that
So you figured out how to resource them in clever ways, I suppose. But my next question would be is how much time do you sink into searching for the right image? And then think, oh, I could have just drawn it.
I don't know. It's a dangerous thing to fall into, though. Just because there's so much good stuff out there, and you'll fall into the trap of just being like, oh, that's a really nice table. Oh, I'll draw that. And then you're on Pinterest. And then next suggestion is like an atlas. And you're like, oh, that's a really nice atlas. I'll put that in. And then before you know it, there's like a trillion things you want to do, and you just can't. So I get like less smaller references, more refined now. That is so good to do. Just like slap it in and not even worry about it.
Oh, dude, actually, that's one thing about Photobashi stuff. Because they're photos, it means everything's super high rendered. Everything's clear.
Oh yeah, it's a little dangerous too. As I was saying before, a thing that I don't like about this one is you put like, look at those potions there, right? They're like a couple brush strokes. They're really like, it's super obvious that it's painted, but like right next to it is a photo that I used, and it looks really bad because on one it's like straight away, oh, you painted that, and on one it's like, oh, it's a photo. But if you're really good, you can like half it.
So you need to somehow deliberately take quality out of the images. Like, it can't be as simple as just blurring it. I mean, what do you do?
I'm still learning that now. What I'll do is I'll use like a majority of it, I'll paint it, and then I'll use photos as like, I'll just use them for things like edges or like little itty bitty of extra textures, because when it comes to like doing it all as one, I'm kind of taking the detail out there a little, but even then it's still got that really harshness.
It's just sharp. I mean, like, it can be fine, I guess, but is that a cash register, the big wooden thing?
Well, it's not an actual cash register. It's just like one of those, like, have you ever seen those like podiums where people stand?
But that's the role it's playing in this.
Yeah, it's like a big bookshelf thing.
So that compared to the potions above it, as you were saying, it's more a clash of aesthetic, if anything, having it change that drastically, that suddenly, when neither of them are the focal point of the whole piece.
Yeah. For concept art, I guess it's really like, this isn't an illustration, right? It's not to be its own thing. It's not even like a background for animation. It's to be like, I'd give it to like, if I was a concept artist, I'd be like, oh, here you go. This is for a set, and then they can go in and take it. So it doesn't really matter, but you know, you should always try and make things as best as you can.
That's a good point, actually, because if you're making something to give to a 3D modeler or to an animator or someone who needs information on what this room looks like, if you're doing it as a straight up painted illustration with focal points and all that sort of stuff, then that's bad, isn't it? You want everything to be super rendered so they can dissect the scene and reconstruct it in what they're using it for.
Maybe, because sometimes, like, I guess yes and no. I mean, because it's like, you could just have one painting and that's it. But this is serving for a lot of different things, right? It's serving as like, what does the room look like? What's in the room? And if this is like, if they're like, yep, this is it, this is what we want, then they'll probably be like, if it's really detailed, they'll be like, okay, now go on and like, do me a page filled with like 10 potions, or like, and then like, what does this desk look like if we were to take it out and put it into like every angle of this desk? That's like call outs. You'll look at every other angle. But you can't just start from there. You can't just like start from props. You'd need to have this sort of first thing here to be like, oh, this is where it's sitting. This is what it looks like. This is the mood. Like, so that's the next step. This is the first step.
Right. That shadow that the potion was casting was kind of neat.
Which where it's hard because you gotta walk around it.
Moving so quickly. Man, there's so much detail. I've never noticed the valve on that thing before.
Oh yeah. I probably did too much than I even need to.
I was wondering what it was. I thought it was just like a shield on display, but it's like a boiler unit.
Yeah, there's all pipes and stuff. If you look at the outside photo, well, after this, I don't know if you have the file. It'll probably be on like somewhere online. But there's
yeah, I don't think I have it personally.
I will find it. Yeah, see, like now I'm going in and I'm like, okay, these potions are too gross. I need to actually paint the potions a bit nicer. That shadow's too sharp
to make it fit in with everything else.
Yeah, you see those other potions I just did that are like a lot cleaner? Like you can see the comparison. The top ones look gross and the bottom ones look a little nicer.
Oh yeah, yeah, I see it. They're quite clever though, how you still managed to make the refraction out of a few brushstrokes.
I don't even know what I'm doing here. What's this? Oh, okay, that's the bookshelf. Well, that's the thing. Same as what we said with water. It's straight up. It's just like, oh, not water, sorry, glass. Oh, look at this. So much cheating. You just like, boop, there he is. Fix the perspective a little bit. Done.
You somehow shifted its parts to give it depth again, even though it was a straight up front facing Skelly.
Yeah. Not 100% accurate, but it's all you need.
Oh,
little bit of lighting, and she's right as rain, love.
Oh man.
Oh, photos are so easy.
So each bit of highlights you're putting on there are a separate layer, are they? And then you sort of fade it and adjust its levels and stuff.
Yeah, I just sort of like made it same thing as always. Put like a little bit of a mask over it, and then just start painting over it, and then like erase away.
Wait, is it being suspended by ropes from its legs?
Yeah. Okay. So if you want
Wouldn't
to,
it just kind of clinkle upside down?
I don't know.
It's very nitpicky.
That would have been nice. So my idea for this place was I also had little stories for this place. So like, you always want to be thinking. You always want to like, because it's so hard to come up with a lot of this stuff if you're just painting from scratch and you don't really know what you're doing. So like with each one of these things, I kind of had an idea for like what the shop was and how things in it would like work. So like I had an idea that like maybe there was a certain kind of flower that you needed for like a potion to kill a certain boss or whatever. You need this flower.
Yep.
So like the only way to get it is to pick these other flowers and a full corpse, like a full human skeleton, and then you'd have to lie the human skeleton on these flowers and then put a bunch of oils on it, and then the human skeleton would start growing these flowers.
Oh, okay.
So if you zoom into the final image, the whole table has a skeleton on it resting on flowers with like all these purple flowers, and then these really vibrant blue flowers are popping out of it, growing from the inside of the actual skull.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like
somewhere in the world you find these rituals that you have to perform somehow.
Yeah, totally. Or like, just it's the more thought that goes into it, the more little stories you can think up, the more
clever.
fun it'll be. Oh yeah, just erase it away. That's what I did with all of them. Erase away with like a little bit of a cloud brush.
Yeah, that's nice.
A little incense. So yeah, just all those little stories make it a lot easier. Because like if you're ever just sitting there like, what do I do? You can just like, just think more about a story. Just plan like, what do you actually try and get your head in the room? Like, I'm walking in a room. Don't just say like, I'm going to draw a tavern or I'm going to draw a shop. Close your eyes and like imagine what you would see if you walk in there. What do you smell? What do you want to do? Like,
the imagination does sort of go looking at this, like that couch nestled in the corner with the chest there.
yeah, that's where I'd want to sit.
Like as you say that, yeah, I'm imagining who are the regulars who always claim that spot.
Well, that whole spot was like, if you ever watched Lord of the Rings, the bit where he's like, that's Strider. I kind of had that in mind. I really liked that sort of like, just the corner little nook where you can have your own little like private pub thing.
Yeah.
It's so fun to paint though, because then you just add it and you're like, okay, now it feels more real. Now it feels like I'm actually there.
Does that mean you know what's in the chest?
Maybe. Didn't really think about it. It's in the chest. We could think about it. We'd be like extra meats, or maybe there's more pillows. Who knows?
Well, it's next to a fireplace. Maybe it's just spare wood.
Oh yeah, even smarter. See, like that you just spoke about right there, like extra wood. That could have been a cool thing that I could have added that I didn't.
That's practical.
I should have put
dude, nice bricks.
Oh yeah, thanks, bro.
All personally crackled and stuff.
Yeah, that's more fun than the warpy thing that I was doing before. It just looks better.
Oh, but you wouldn't want to do it for the amount of walls that you had to do it for.
Yeah, you're right. But like the thing you were talking about before, where you're like, it could be extra wood things. In this painting, there's no big pile of wood. I should have had like like what would have been cool to add also would be like, maybe I should have put like a little pyre of wood next to the fireplace so you can tell that they come in and just chuck it. Or maybe one of those little pokey things, I should have painted that. And the more you think about it, the more real it would be. And if it was a movie or a game or an animation, the more real it would feel.
It's an interesting thought about telling a story through the image, because you're adding all these different elements in. At what point does it start to become almost cluttered rather than items that would be practical? And you see it and you immediately see the story of if there's...
I guess it comes down to how...
If the chest is open and there's fire in it and there's wood in it, then you're like, oh, okay, then you know that's...
It's all just about atmosphere, really. Because, see, this isn't really like...
So there's a chest inside across from each fireplace, so theory confirmed.
Yeah, there you go. To me, I was just lazy. I was like, what should I put on the other side of the room? Oh, I'll just do the same thing. But, like...
What's this here?
This is the wolf head. So I'm drawing the back of it, like the little piece of wood that it would be, like...
Oh, the boss that you killed in the first level.
Yeah, so I haven't drawn the actual head yet, but the plaque that it would go on, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, is it paused? Or did I just walk away from the computer?
Yeah, I think you might have gone to do a poo.
Oh, there you go. Kevin Bacon. But, like, what was I saying? When it comes to this, like, if it was like a normal still or a storyboard, you'd think about it differently. You wouldn't be like, oh, I really need to worry about this thing here and here and here. You would think about what narrative things happening. But because this is concept art for a room, you have to think about, like, oh, what's happening in the room? There's not too much, like, what's this character feeling? You think more like, what would I do in this room? When I walk into this room, what's the first thing I see? What's the first thing I smell? You know, what would... And then that's just what you're trying to translate as much of that as
That's
possible.
an interesting thought.
Well, I'd imagine
rarely
like the
think about that.
candles, the fireplace.
But you're right, this place does have a sense to it.
Well, the more you can get into
the
it.
wood, in particular, it's it's warm.
Yeah, it's like what you were talking about before. Like you were talking about you were having that dream and you were just being a part of it. Dude, the more of that you can do, the better this will be. Also, this here, I totally should have just like put like just taken that texture and put it in.
I don't know. But I think it's pretty cool that you've done that. That's amazing how fast that came together.
I wanted to just paint it because I'd never painted a wolf before. So I was like, I'll just paint it.
Freaking nailed it.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Plus, it's the main breed. So it's like, everything's already too photobashy.
That's like a squint your eyes and it's a photo level.
Oh, thank you, good sir. But yeah, this is so like... Oh, yeah, I was like trying to see if it would match, but no, I was wrong. I messed it up a little bit.
How close were you?
That eye had to be moved.
Okay, so you matched it back up again.
Yeah. Whoa, just fucking textures everywhere. These are fun. Oh, I found this texture. I don't know where I found this texture, but it's so good. It just works for every wall. I don't know what layer setting it's on. Just smash it in.
So it's been used a number of times.
Oh, all the time now.
Man, what tool is that that's giving it that sort of embossing? It's lighting up
Embossing?
lit up areas.
Oh, I think that's the layer setting. So like, there's all these layer settings on Photoshop where it'll only capture the most saturated parts, or it'll only capture the lights, or it'll only do the darks, and it'll just interact with pixels a different way.
Do you know what it's called?
Oh no, all the layer settings. I just flip through them until I find a nice one, and then when I find one that's doing like let's say I put it here, it's on that type of thing.
Oh, wait, so do you just mean blending modes? Like
yeah, blending modes. That's what it is.
Overlay, multiply, all that.
Yeah, but what you can do, which is really nice, is once it's in that state. Like, let's say you put the picture in and it's picking up just the darks, and it looks really nice, but it's only picking up a little bit of the darks. Then you can just go in and then grab it in that state and then go with a level adjustment or something and then make more darks. Like, bring the whole tone down so it shows more. Or maybe you want to do the opposite, and you can just do so much with it. It's such a powerful tool.
I always find something very therapeutic about this, the carving away.
Cutting up, when you put like a texture on top and you just cut away, feels nice.
It's such a simple process,
except for when
very satisfying.
Except for when you carve a little bit too far and then don't realize it, and then you watch it again.
Why did you need to carve, and it couldn't just be put on a layer underneath the tables, but in front of the floor?
Oh, because I didn't layer them that well. As I said, I was crushing layers in this one just because so many photos bogs my computer down like crazy.
So how many layers did the table consist of at this point? Was it already merged flat in with the floor itself?
Probably. But if you look at the amount of layers, what are we down there? We're at 99. So there's been a lot of layers in this painting. I think mine went up to maybe 300 or something like that.
Considering though it's across all three images.
Still pretty crazy though, 300 layers.
Yeah.
Oh, this is fun. So, hey, you want to know how to do perspective? There it is. That was the lines in the wood. So that you just draw the floor as if it was one solid thing and then just cut away the scrapes in the wood. And then for a little bit of extra detail, go in and add the side that will face the light.
That's it. That's all we got.
Oh, dude,
that one.
Close that. Let's go to the actual final thing.
We didn't get as far as the skelly.
Yeah, I think I must have turned the recording off because there's tons more.
Yeah, okay, so say it again. So all this stuff is from the same world.
Yeah, and this one here, that's the exterior of the buildings. So if you click here, I think it'll zoom in. Yeah, so these are little things of what the town could be, and this one's the potion shop, little potion symbol. And that here is the boiler that we saw.
Oh, yes, the shilly things. So it was all plants. Those are the same sort of plants as well.
Yep, same kind of hanging thing. And that's what the blacksmith was supposed to be, except the scale was wrong. As I said, the room was too big. It's not that big on the outside.
Right.
And this is the Wolf Head Tavern.
I see. Oh, yeah, because there's the door that leads up the stairs that has the wolf head right about there, I guess.
Yeah. Actually, this one, I think at the end of it, I flipped it. So this door would be where the camera is standing if it was real.
Yeah, that's how I imagined it.
Yeah, and then we're sort of looking through the door out to the inside. That's little armors that they'd be wearing. This is the town. Sick.
So this is... Wait, hang on. We should probably go back to this one first, right?
Oh, I did this after it.
Okay, let's look at that one then.
So if we zoom in, because it's 3 big old paintings in one.
Computer enhance.
Enhance. I hate when like cop shows do that. They're like enhance and like this 240p.
Because it's not a real thing.
It makes me angry because I want to do that so frequently.
Have you seen the infamous one where 2 people are hacking on the same keyboard?
No.
There's someone hacking on a keyboard, and then someone else comes over and is like, you can't do it in time, you need help. And then they move over and they're both tapping on the same keyboard at the same time.
What's that off?
I don't know, it's probably a CSI show or something.
Can we not control the amount of zoom?
Sure, why not?
Check it.
There we go.
Okay, so this was the idea of like, as we were saying, like if it was a game, and I was just playing too much Darkest Dungeon, so you come to it in like winter, and it's
This
all
one?
like it's all dilapidated.
Oh yeah, so trees going through the roof of whatever this place is. What's this place?
That would just be like another like an outside like another tavern or something. Just
Yep.
like another little villagey house, and then like you go into the town, like all the walls are broken, and I thought of, you think of a lot of stories whilst doing these things. Like the big church main building in the middle is just wrecked, and the bridge is wrecked. So like slowly over the course of the game, if you go down, it's all getting a little repaired. Like you see they're setting up
the
scaffolding to like repair the bridge, and scaffolding to repair the wall, and you see like over at the right, the roof hasn't got a roof on it yet because they've started doing the wood for it.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like, the way they're approaching it is tore down the old one and now putting up the new one.
And a good way to use this like is just to add a lot of light sources in there. So they got I mean the scale is totally wrong. I'd redo this painting because it's kind of gross.
What's wrong with the scale?
The scale is terrible. Like
Explain.
Look at the candles right at that front gate. That front gate's supposed to be like huge.
Maybe they're just really big torches.
Maybe. I guess so. But like, yeah, I'd redo it just because it'd be fun, and it needs a bit more polish. But yeah, you see, like you can add candles and light sources, and it's like, oh, now there's like people here, and there's lots of smoke, so chimneys, and it's like, oh, this place coming to life. And then you can, because it's no longer snow, you can put flowers in, and it's like, oh, it feels a little bit more homey, feels a bit more alive. So like the top one, I wanted to make it feel sort of dead, frozen over, like it's frozen, it's in one spot. And then here you go down, it's starting like, and then also, a sunrise. Feels like, the dawn of a new day, kind of a feel.
Things are starting to look up.
Yeah, starting
We'll
to be...
get through it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like pinky warm tones to make it feel like, this is going to be a happy place. It's a happy place, not a cold place.
And finally...
And then it's like, boom.
So pretty.
Once it's fully repaired, it's, that generic, very green, very like, little bit of snow. Like you can see it's all gone. Like
this is awesome. Like it's not just rebuilt, but it's renovated. Like this door was taken away.
Yeah.
And they turned this bit of barn into like there's now a chimney there. There's a new door in there.
It feels all happy and lived in.
Yeah, it's a home now.
It's like one of those like ads.
Stuff going out the chimney.
One of those ads where it's just like for bad skin. It's like I had pimples. So go up. And like I was just not confident. I couldn't go outside for social situations. And then look at me now.
But then one day a hero came to our village.
Oh yes. I've been having proactive, and now look at me now. I'm all blue and shiny, and there's fjords. God, fjords are cool.
And finally, the scaffolding can be taken off my face.
The scaffold. In just 3 days of scaffolding, I'm all better. Those reds. Oh, also...
Bring on those dragons.
Bring on those dragons. Also, another thing, birds, because more life. And also, red is like, it's just like the most obvious thing ever, but like red is like the color that eyes will go to. So put red flags and red carpets in your paintings, and they will always be your read.
Trying to see if there's... Oh yeah, there's still some flags here. But they're kind of like all torn and frayed.
And they're blue.
Oh no, these ones have some gaps in them, but that's just the brush texture you used.
Yeah.
I guess it was intended to be like that.
Just a bit of style, love.
Here's one for you though. Snow on the mountain. Snow on the mountain. No snow on the mountain.
Oh yeah.
Even though this is the winter scene.
Okay, well. There you go. That was kind of dumb.
It is cool how it's... was there like a base piece?
Oh, okay. So the way I did this, because I knew it was going to be a pain, like it's practically 3 completely separate paintings, but what I did was the same thing as we were doing before, with silhouettes. So I started the top one with like no detail, so actually you wouldn't even have to look at the top one. I did these mountains in the background, this long cutting mountain in the backgroundy midground, and then I did like a silhouette of the castle, and the wall around the castle, and then a silhouette of the river, and a silhouette of the house in the front, and then everything else you just paint inside it.
Yeah, because
And
I
then you can
noticed that some of the foliage is redone, other parts
Oh,
survive.
all the grass and trees and stuff is pretty much redone each time, except if I was smart
These
enough.
trees aren't.
Yeah, well then I guess I could have copied them and
it-
kept them on their own
I
layout.
was glancing through to see if they like grew a little bit over the course of the year.
Oh, that would have been a really smart idea. That would have been really fun to experiment
Would
with.
it happen much though? I mean, this is a period of about 4 months, maybe.
Yeah, but it still would have been fun. Like, it's a video game. Or it'd be fun to sort of like plant new trees and watch
Yeah.
them. Ooh.
Or maybe this is several years later. Who knows how many seasons the reconstruction went through. Anyway, we needed to get back to the actual tavern piece
Oh, yeah. So
because
let's
we were
go
just
download
examining
it.
the world. Or did we want to look at the town schematic first?
Well, I didn't do too much with the town layout unless you look at the thumbs.
Can you see where the tavern is located
You
here?
can see the blacksmith
Yep.
right there. Little blacksmith.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tavern, where did I make the tavern in this guy? I don't know. I think he was around somewhere.
Is this it?
Yeah,
looks
that is it,
It's
actually.
the door there and the window.
Yeah.
So surely.
I think I made some changes to him once, because I did this one pre. Oh yeah, that's the magic shop. That's the magic shop.
Not the potion shop.
Yeah. Potion shop.
Oh, there's
Potion
potion.
shop.
Oh yeah, because that's the blacksmith there.
Blacksmith, and then the one up there's the potion shop, and then that guy there is the tavern.
That's wicked.
Yeah. Well, I'm not really happy with this line art's kind of like ugh.
It's such a fleshed out concept.
This guy here, that is like what the town square would be like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't upload a very high res thing.
Oh no, it's huge. Hang on. So tell us why this one is
Better.
not a fully rendered piece. It's more of a.
This was
read.
when I was first trying to learn graphic reads. So this is, as I said, this was a while ago. This is like this is not like a full graphic read because it's not like two tones, but it was me sort of learning it, like focusing on light and, like just the proper light sources, blow them out crazy so you really know where you look first. So like in each one of these, like there's usually like 3 reads and where you look perfectly, like the top of here, it's got that nice light, it feels good. Just really thinking and planning the lights.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really doing that too much with the other ones, so this was where I started to learn that. And then with Kalen's class, he really said, okay, push it further. Because like...
Make the dark bits darker and.
Yeah, you
Lighter
don't, like
slider.
all this time I spent like... I mean, these were pretty quick. I would say these were only like probably about 30 minutes each. Maybe a bit more, because I remember this being really quick before I went to work. But all these little
Madness.
all these little
So
like
fast.
like details in the houses, these little quick strokes or whatever, they're not even necessary really, because if it's only the purpose of this here is to only get a feel for the lighting, then I should have just done that.
Really, even more so than to get a feel for the terrain,
I guess so. I mean, it works fine for
because
what
it's
it is.
very atmospheric.
I guess this is more than just a graphic read. It's a little bit of like a here's where the buildings are. This is what it's like.
To give yourself an idea on world building.
Yeah, it's good to just sort of like not stress too much and to just jump in and sort of like have an idea, but don't be like, I'm going to do the best painting ever and it's going to be amazing. Just sort of jump in and be like, okay, I'm going to do bit.
Spend some time within the world. I can't see
I
it.
don't know if I uploaded the tavern to this guy, did I?
The heck?
Scroll down.
But that goes down to your previous projects, the mansion.
Well, that's old, man. That's very old now. Where's the... Did I upload it to this website?
Maybe not. It's on
Wow.
Facebook. I'll head over there.
Oh, no, go to ArtStation because Facebook's going to be super low res.
Oh, okay.
Just my name.
ArtStation.
Just Nicholas, Mr. Law.
Nicholas Cole.
Oh, dude, he sounds cool.
Mr.
You're going to see my least favorite website ever because it makes me want to die.
Because it's full of talented
Oh,
people.
because it's full of gods. Gods.
Look, plugging.
Logging onto this website is like logging onto Mount Olympus and just looking at Zeus and being like, no, I can't compare. All right, where? Oh,
There it is.
There's Mr. Tavern. Download them, mother.
RPG shop interiors.
There you go.
Is this the full res version?
This
Is
is
there a
the-
button we can press that will zoom it in?
There. Or there.
Biu.
Oh, cool. We can zoom in. Okay, so
Alright.
this is it when it's
Skelly.
done. Oh, so
Man,
much more.
so much cleaner.
Yeah, so much more details. As we were talking about before, Mr. Skeleton sitting on all the flowers and having blue flowers spurt out of him, and they could be like the flowers that you want. And like you see this little thing over here, like maybe that's like you pick the flowers and they go in this cauldron and then they get heated up and they go into that, and then that's where the potion is made. And then there's like a boiler in the background, and that's what they use to heat up the potions or compress them or whatever. Just start getting into it and thinking about it and planning it.
It's so neat. And the tavern.
Oh, did I crop it? There should be more out to the left. I guess it doesn't really matter though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
just-
It keeps going.
Oh, it's just random stuff.
Heaps far.
The reed's always to the right, so just keep it to the right. It's easy as. Yeah, so this one just like went a little further with it, added a bunch of like picture frames everywhere. Man, this one, you can zoom in like crazy on this guy.
Oh, really?
I put like a lot of time in this. Why did I do that?
This is an interesting one because the thing that's most front and center is this flask here.
Yeah.
Which is really blurry.
Yeah, I drew the flask really far
So
away.
it's like, okay, maybe there's like foreground blur. Like if you're looking back here, then it feels fine. But it gets thrown when this one
is really
is
sharp.
perfectly clear.
So here's things that I really should think about and
So
I
it
really
wasn't
should fix.
a consistent depth.
Well, as I was saying, like, you know how I said with the lights, I did two of them, the far away ones, and then I zoomed them in for the close-up ones.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that. You should do the biggest one first and then crush it and zoom it down.
Yeah. But the light looks sick though. This window, how it's casting across these mirrors.
Fun fact, that's actually not how the light would reflect. It wouldn't reflect like that at all. And I did what it would look like if it properly reflected, and I didn't like it. I was like, that's not cool. Doesn't draw the eye.
Well,
So then I faked it.
if you faked it, it worked.
Yeah, man, fakes it and looks nice.
This one even has dust particles in the air.
Yeah, a little bit of light shining through. But yeah, just like I was just thinking more like, what should I add? And I'm like, well, the tables, they're probably like in like, because they're in the north, right? There'd be those snowy mountains, maybe like some cool Nordic-y designs. And then like, you know, there's probably a bunch of like flagons about and like little pot plants on the tables. And I guess like it's cause for celebration. So these little, what are the little like flag streamer things?
Yeah.
Bunch of plants everywhere.
How do you feel about them looking back now?
I'm really happy with like what it is narratively and like even just like that I did it. But like when it comes to like, is this a really nice painting? It's not really, but it's a nice place to be. So it works well for a concept, but not as like an illustration,
Right.
which is fine. It's all it's got to be. It's not a background art. It's just concept art. Also, the cutest thing ever that when I was doing research for this stuff to like see what's in taverns, go to the left. Look at these little barrel guys. I don't know if you can see.
Little barrel mugs.
Yeah, put your little mouse over it. These little barrel guys. There's a bunch of them in taverns. They're like itty bitty barrels. I don't know
You
what
like
they're
these
for.
ones that are full of drink as well? I noticed this one over here, which was spilling onto the floor.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
That's nice.
Like little bits of foam that spilled on the floor and stuff.
There's a lot of cool touches in here.
So what happens when you spend a million fucking hours just painting like crazy.
The contrast in this one is
Yeah,
nice. I like
it's
how
very
bright.
bright.
I like it. The contrast is good.
And then I did, I fixed up the potions actually. So like they were all really gross, like single strokes. I went through, erased them out, and painted them in as like real, like just painted them up. So all the potions are a little bit more detailed.
I feel like this framing in particular works really well because when you pan across to the left,
There's nothing. Can you tell where I got bored and I was like, okay, I'm done. There's enough stuff. But that's actually another interesting thing to say. Like if you zoom out, you don't want to, like this one actually is probably a bit too busy.
well, like I
way
say,
too
I
busy.
didn't notice the skeleton at first.
Yeah.
But that as an image works. That as an image works.
Really?
Yeah, because now that's everything now points here. And when it's on this side, it's kind of
There's
just
just so much stuff.
it's kind of just balanced either side because you've got the skeleton there, the flask there. This one, what's where? Like that's sort of in the middle, but not really.
Yeah. There's just so much stuff. I didn't really have a focus.
The weight is very heavy on the right.
Yeah, I didn't really think. Also, another thing that I shouldn't have done, this like cauldron here,
Yeah.
you see all of it and it's a light source. It's just a big fat circle in the middle of it. If I was smart, I would have put like some books in front of it or maybe some like something dark to like cover it up because it's a huge blinding white circle, entire shape source of light. It's where you should look. It's like bang, a big flat circle. And then when you think about it, it's like, okay, what am I looking at? What's most important? Because what I'm looking at should be what's most important, and a random cauldron.
It
So
would
it's like, oh, that's
probably-
kind of dumb. What should be most important, what I should look straight at, is the skeleton.
Yeah.
but it takes a while, so it's not really good.
It'd probably work quite well if it was more of a focal point, but if the room was almost totally in darkness and everything was lit up by here, maybe a little bit by these ones. But your best glimpse of the skeleton is just a blue rimming lighting up this side here, and that's it.
Yeah, or maybe even
wonder.
like, I think it'd work a lot better if they just didn't have that blue, and maybe if there was a bunch of candles around, like.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's interesting because like the Flask Cupola is my favorite part, but if it's taking away from what the subject matter is supposed to be,
You got to be strong enough to be like, and just kill it.
yeah, making that disconnect from what you like to what is correct.
It sucks.
It does.
You got to do that, but seriously, you have to kill. You got to kill your babies. Kill your babies, and then even if you won't spend ages, like if like your objective is to draw a spaceship, and you spend ages drawing like a nice little tree in the background, and you got a shitty spaceship because there's a stupid tree in the background. Kill the tree, and paint the spaceship.
Just make it a painting about a good tree.
Yeah, but when you're getting paid to draw a spaceship,
They might get a bit
it's like,
cross.
hey, how's that spaceship coming along? Well, I've taken your spaceship and I took some liberties. Check out these puppies. Because, man, these puppies are good.
Where do we sign?
It's like, well, that's right. We'll make the whole new game now. Oh, man, something about hanging potions feels so nice. A little blue guy right there.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see that
Little
one.
hanging little blue
It's the
guy.
only one. Anyway, the end.
I guess so. Unless there's anything else you want to say about the tavern. Where's the tavern? Look at him there, little wolfy
Yeah,
wolf.
we talked a lot about tavern.
Also, the scale. Here's one last little thing.
Yep.
So the wolf is there, and I wanted him to be like a giant wolf. But before I did this, it was kind of hard to show that he was giant, so I put just some things for scale next to him. Like obviously, I had the windows and the chairs there, the tables and the chairs and the windows.
But regular shields.
Yeah, but that wasn't close enough to sort of get a real feel of what he was scale-wise. And there was nothing really human, so I just put like a sword and shield next to each side of him. So straight away, if you were to like zoom in on Mr. Wolfy Wolf, you'll know how big he is. Like, I mean, I don't know, maybe. Do you know how big he is? I guess like, that's what I wanted to do, was to make it feel like, okay,
helps
right
a
away,
lot.
I
It
know
helps
how
a lot.
big a human is next to him.
Yeah, it helps a lot.
Yeah, so that's it. If you're going to paint, don't mess it up like this fucking terrible piece of shit. Ugh.
Bye.